In this video, I will be not answering, but talking about the meaning of life, essentially, because a lot of people don't seem to understand exactly what life is, or like why we are alive. And I bring the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy thing up because that is the most recognizable answer, because people think the answer is 42. Now, I haven't been able to locate the exact source that I know of that talks about how, like in numerology or some sort of number system, 42 actually equates to death, which is a very negative way of seeing how everything in our universe works. In previous videos, I mentioned the energy and how it flows from one place to another and so forth. In this one, in this video, it's going to be about life and the soul specifically, because there is nothing that actually talks to us about the soul or like what it does. Like, I know through Christianity that we are told we have an immortal soul, yet we're never told like what it's for, like why we have it and so forth. We just told that even though we're gonna die, we still have the immortal soul, so we're still technically alive. So we're gonna start right here. Let's say that is the beginning of the soul, that is the beginning of energy, that is the soul. And these are gonna be different events that our soul right here can go to, or that travels to. Now, in the beginning, the soul doesn't have it's not conscious. It doesn't know what it's doing. It's just going to these different events willy-nilly, kind of. Um, but it's being directed by the higher self. Because time, I mean, there is no time. Time is an illusion. So this small bit of energy is being directed to all these different events, or all, and it's being directed to everything it could be, everything that it needs to start to begin to grow. And eventually, that soul, that small bit of energy, through acquiring different physical forms, such as like mosquitoes, trees, animals, it will start to grow. It will start to get used to the different bodies and like learn different things and become larger and larger until it has enough energy to actually produce consciousness, which is when we get like the human form. And whatever the crap this is the human form, the perfect specimen. It looks like crap, but whatever. This is an example. It's a summary. It's not supposed to be to scale or whatever. But as the energy, which is the soul over here, grows, it's gonna eventually gain consciousness and become human, or something with something humanoid like. Doesn't necessarily have to look exactly like us. But once that happens, we are able to actually navigate through the different streams, through the different energy flows, not timelines, but energy flows, and we can learn about different things in different places. And we can grow our soul exponentially when we do that. So now, the main reason of this video is to ask, why does life matter? Well, life matters because if you don't live a life, or you don't live the life that your soul wants you to live, then you're not growing. You're not doing what the soul wants. Because so you got the soul, which is my crappy drawing of a human, and then we got ego, which is what people think they want, what people think they are, what it disregards the soul if you think purely with the ego. And that's why there's a lot of like atheists and whatnot around. But the whole atheist movement is to get people to realize that religion isn't suitable. It's not it doesn't allow for growth, because it just keeps you in the same repetitive motions, and it doesn't help the soul grow whatsoever. So we're just gonna, it's gonna be like a blob, whatever. I like circles. So now the higher self is also the higher self will eventually control the soul, and the soul will eventually try to influence the ego in such a way that the ego will go to the soul. They basically want to merge into one. Now, if people disregard the soul, they're gonna have a very probably crappy life, because the soul has already decided everything that's gonna be going on in your life, and whether it's good or bad, those are the lessons that the soul wanted to learn. But if you're disregarding what the soul wants to learn, you're gonna have a miserable time, because you're always gonna be going like upstream. You're going against the grain. You're not doing what the soul wants. And thinking you have some sort of free will is kind of stupid. I mean, the only two choices that free will grants us is do and do not. Basically what Yoda said, I think. Yeah. I'm making a lot of references today, aren't I? So if the ego decides to disregard the soul, you're not going to have a very happy life. Wow, I didn't have much for this video. But the point is, so throughout the soul's existence, it's always been directed by its higher self, which is like the Holy Spirit that the Christian faith believes in. I'm Christian, so that's what I relate to. But then we also have God. And God can basically has dictated all of this. And eventually, all of this, because it's all infinity, it's all unity, is gonna be consumed and go back into God. And it's kind of like a repeating cycle. So once people like rise themselves up, as I mentioned in my Tower of Babylon video, yeah, Tower of Babylon video, that the people try to raise their souls up. They try to grow their souls so they can reach God. And eventually they're gonna become like so godlike that they can actually create other universes and whatnot, or however you see it. But the main thing is God created the universe. That's what He can do. The higher self can do everything inside the universe and make stuff and whatnot. And it's all through perception that you can begin to understand this. Because if we're looking at solely the Bible, that's all. If we're looking at solely the Bible, it's basically a very old textbook that we've been following for 2,000 years. It has a lot of good stuff in it. It has a lot of good values, but it's meant for the people 2,000 years ago because that's how those people understood it and perceived it. In all, in nowadays, it's more along the lines of I think what the Buddhists are teaching and whatnot, to like channeling your, not channeling, but balancing out your chakras and whatnot. That is, and meditating, and that is what grows the soul, the energy that makes us who we are. And because it's like shining a light through a prism, it's different colors. We got different colors of energy flows in us. So like red, yellow, green, blue, violet, and so forth. We are basically a prism. And once we begin to balance that and like do meditation and whatnot, that slowly becomes a like pure white, which is the light, which is the soul that we want to become, or the body that we want to become. And that's that's like what we're striving for. That's the purpose of life, basically. We are here to learn and lesson because as energy we can't learn that. We need to have a physical form to cultivate it and become the soul. So once the ego and the soul merges, then we are basically like our whole self. We are like the perfect human or whatnot. But to do that, we also need to get rid of the ego. We also need to understand what is beyond the Bible, which is, again, what I mentioned in the other video, that heaven and hell, they don't exist. They are a perception we've gotten from the Bible. There are no angels or demons. Again, it's perception we got from the Bible. And there's no good and evil. there is self-service, people who do stuff for themselves, and people who do stuff for other people to help them out. Both ways are a good way to grow the soul. We might see the self-service side as wrong, but it's not evil. Um, because evil and good are basically very vague terms that we've attached to certain things. Now, every soul goes through this, and everybody, like when a child is born, they're either a new soul or a very old soul, and their natural talents that they have, like I know when I was younger, I was very into fishing. I enjoyed that a lot. I grew out of it, I guess. But that's because the ego started to influence the soul. And I lost, like, well, I didn't lose, it's just repressed, I guess, that I used to like fishing. And I mean, I do still to an extent, but it's not something I do anymore. I know when I was very young, I used to also enjoy like wandering around my bedroom thinking up stories. Now I still think up stories and I still do stuff. That's one of my like innate natural talents. And that has stuck with me, and that's kind of what I use as a grounds to figure out what my soul is, or who my soul is, and how I'm trying to get closer and closer to being my soul. This also includes like losing materialistic uh, stuff. So the materialistic stuff, it's like your ego is attached to different things around you, like different photos, different memories, but all those are things that will not go with you when you die eventually, because the body grows old. The soul doesn't grow. Well, the soul grows old, but we need to see it as two separate things. The body is just flesh and blood. The soul is the energy that is immortal and can travel anywhere, anytime it wants. When we dream, that is the spiritual and the soul side of reality. It's the other side of the coin, basically. So, like, foregoing materialistic objects and whatnot will allow you to become closer to realizing what is beyond Earth, because we can we can easily go beyond Earth. I've explained in the previous video about the islands in the sky that we're gonna see when the firmament goes away and whatnot. That we're gonna see that the world is far more dreamlike than we can ever imagine, because we're going into the fourth density, which is just a higher state of consciousness, a higher state of the soul to live in. But yeah, this is my answer to the what is life and why you should care about it, why you should try to be the best you that there is by refocusing on your innate talents and trying to strive to be that, because both your higher self and your soul are going to try to direct the ego towards those things. But if the ego denies that, if the ego denies the soul, then your life is going to be miserable. So that's it for this video. Like, share, and subscribe. Do what you need to do. If you enjoy what I do, I will continue doing more videos. That is it for today. Have a good day. Bye.